I do feel like Black women are never allowed to fail because we don't have that safety net. But here's the thing. Black ladies, we are resilient. So even if you fail and you don't have that safety net, you won't be okay. Because you a Black lady and you're going to have to be. Try everything and every opportunity that comes your way that is safe and has a path, do it. Do not be afraid if you don't know.
Why would I be anything else when I could be me? No, but seriously, like, I could just do me, Like, I could just live my life as me. Just whole, complete, just myself. Unabridged.
All right, and welcome to this week's episode of Unabridged. I am your host, Don Miller, and welcome to episode 12 of Unabridged. I'm so excited, as always. We are coming from a new little setup. Don't get used to it. It was a lot, but this is a very special episode, so hence a new setup. So we're super excited. This is our first episode in our little mini series of Women's History Month episode. We have an incredible journey for you later on in the episode with my amazing mentor, Jasmine Sessoms. But before we jump into that, we're going to get into my favorite segment of the show. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So let's get into it. So we have like two serious ones and a really funny one that I think I had to talk about. I was like, oh, I didn't really want to, but I have to for the girls. So we're gonna get into that last one. I didn't even like preview it with anybody. We're just gonna jump right in. So as always, we're gonna start with the local side. The local side girlies have a lot going on, as they always do. And it's funny that I'm actually wearing this shirt right now because the person we're talking about, his name is firstly on my shirt. So a couple weeks ago, and now at this point when this episode comes out, the Parker administration, of course, the executive branch of Philadelphia, put out a notice that they are now expecting for everybody to come back to the office from work from home. Yeah, I know. I had so many thoughts about that when I actually heard that. First of all, I thought everybody was back. Okay? The fact that people are still working from home and work for the city, it kind of makes me a little bit upset. I'm just like, I've been back. Y'all haven't been back yet? So, yeah, it's been interesting. But no, Mayor Parker is not playing with y'all no more. No more pajamas at the bottom and button-ups on the top. She is saying everybody needs to come back to work, come back to the MDO, come back to those offices. Her exact quote was, the people of Philadelphia deserve a government that they can feel, see, and touch. Maybe not a lot of the last two, because I don't know if we should be touching or feeling city workers. But I do understand the sentiment, right? So I understand both sides of the argument. So on one hand, right now, right, only about 80% out of the 100% of workers right now are working from offices, right? So we still have about 20% of people. That's about 1 in 5 municipal government workers that work from home right now or have some level of a hybrid work schedule. It doesn't seem like a lot for most people. It's like, well, what's the big deal? But some of those departments have very people-facing jobs. And when you're in a city right now, you feel like a lot of things really just aren't working the way they should. I mean, nothing is working, girl. The SEPTA is broke. The streets is broke. The schools are broken. When you're in those spaces and you're just like, we don't think we need to come back from home, you really don't have much of a leg to stand on, right? So that productivity argument that a lot of people have about the private sector, we don't really have that right now, at least in Philadelphia, about the narrative around people working from home and making them more productive. On the other hand, you don't make no money working for the city. You don't. It's not back in the day where you would have that good city job and those good city benefits. Those benefits don't mean anything anymore. People are tired. People are like looking at their private sector girlfriends who got the same degrees as them, making probably twice as much money as they're making. And they're saying, well, why am I still staying here? And what the unions are saying is that has really been a bargaining chip. That has been the one thing that we can keep telling people, like, hey, maybe you aren't getting paid that much, but you'll at least have a little bit of a work-life balance because you get to work home certain days. So people are freaking out. In the article that I actually read for today to prepare for this episode, a lot of the folks are saying there's going to be a great exodus of city workers. Most of those departments weren't filled anyway, girls, so I don't know what we're threatening. But at the same time, like, that's kind of scary to think about, that our systems could be functioning at a lot less than they are right now just because we ask people to come back to work. Now on the pro side for this, I get it. Downtown Center City is dead right now. A lot of those businesses that we support, a lot of businesses that most people go to are not being utilized the same way, and it's causing a large ripple effect. Now the workers are saying, y'all treat me like a pawn. Y'all just want me to come back here and use my money. And I get that. But at the same time, we are all contributing to our city. So you have to understand kind of like that give and take, right? It's like, I know you want to work from home too, but other people haven't had the opportunities to work from home. Teachers have been back. Trashmen have been back. So trying to find that balance between, giving people what they really want and getting people to stay at their jobs versus what is equal and what actually is going to stimulate the economy is definitely an interesting balance that the Parker administration is going to have to figure out as they do this rollout to back to work. Now, I totally get all of this sides of this. Like I said before, and I'm not allowed to say my title too many times, but I do work for the city, and I get my Wi-Fi at home is much better. I love my Mac desktop at home, but there are certain things that I know that I cannot do working from home, certain collaboration that I can do working from home, certain levels of contact with constituents that I can't have working from home. So I get it. So again, it's going to be a very interesting balance that they're going to have to take. A lot of communication is going to have to take place, because the one thing that we don't want to do is have major city functions really just stop working less than they already are because we had a weird rollout. Because that's really what that is. We just had a weird rollout. So, we're gonna be on a watch. The local 47 girls are not very happy. So we're gonna see what they have to say about Parker administration wanting to bring everybody back from work. All right. Let's take it to the Fed girlies. We did state last time, so I was like, let me switch it up and do the state. We are, of course, in election time 2024. We are in full effect. We're probably like through 5 or 6 or 7 caucuses right now in different states. The Republicans are continuously choosing Trump over again, and Democrats, we just got Biden. So what you gonna do? So one thing that's happening right now as we're going through this 2024 election cycle, as most of you already know, and I've talked about on the show before, is that Donald Trump is still under criminal charges. 91 criminal charges across 4 municipalities, to be exact. 91. Let that sink in. It's shit. So what we're seeing here now is Nikki is calling his ass out, and it is about time. Nikki is like, he should have to go through all of his court cases before he comes and sees me. Now, granted, we already know he's been beating her across the board a bunch of times, so she is just shooting at the dark right now. But at the end of the day, I agree with her. It's like, how can you have all of these open cases that are at all different levels, federal girlies, state girlies. I think you even got some municipal girlies that are all mad at you, but you're still actively seeking the highest position in the land. Right? So what is happening right now, and what really caused Nikki to say this, was that his trial, which is the big one for having any interference in the January 7th insurrection, because we all know he had a part in it, that is the big trial. A lot of these little trials, like the Stormy Daniels stuff, we know about that, and him saying he had more money than he did in New York, we know about that. But the big girly, like the one that should just get him to Guantanamo, is the one where he had the insurrection, right? But that one is the one that keeps getting pushed down and kicked down the line because his probably highly paid or promised to be highly paid lawyers are introducing a lot of random motions. And the one that has caused the most hectic, the most time constraints is this idea that he is qualified for this level of immunity because he was the president. Now, the way the rule works out right now is that presidents are not allowed to be charged with any crimes during their time in office. That's a thing. If you can pardon somebody or you can pardon yourself, that's a thing, right? But what they're trying to say is that the level of foolishness that Trump has actually done is at a height that we've never seen before. So we don't even know if that rule applies. Like, that's the gist of it. It's not even just like, should presidents have immunities, right? Because the argument people are trying to say is that if we can prosecute presidents for what they've done in office, it'll now make them have to start walking on eggshells. Like, they start saying stuff like, well, if we can prosecute Trump for this, then we can prosecute Barack Obama for drone strikes. No, you can't. This is not the same thing. This is a president actively working against and encouraging others to actively work against their government by overthrowing it at this time. Because let's call it for really what it really is him trying to overthrow the government at this time. So the Supreme Court this week has just agreed that they're going to hear arguments from his lawyers in the week of April 22nd that says, it does this qualified immunity actually, pertain to what is going on with him. If they rule in his favor, right, meaning that he does, all them cases, at least the federal cases, get thrown out the window. That means he doesn't have to get tried for any of that on the federal side. Now, the state election laws and the municipal cases that he still has, those will still be at play, but it's the federal ones that will no longer matter. If they rule against him, though, we could see Trump being on trial as early as this summer for his involvement in the January 6th insurrection. Now, I just want to take a minute because I think these stories like this are the things that make it hard to ask people to participate in government, right? It's just like we see the laundry list of things that can happen to somebody just like you if you missed your parking ticket court. This MFer, and I'm trying not to curse as much, has 91 charges, and one of them is literally treason, and we're trying to figure out if we should even talk about it. This is ridiculous to me. And it happens in America, because when the Brazil girls did this, they took that man out by his toes, okay? So this is only America that we will be going through this. So we're going to have to keep a really, really, really like close eye to this. And honestly, I don't have the most excitement about this because we have a super, super conservative court right now, like more conservative that we've had. 3 of these men he put on there. One of them is his homies. So I just don't have a lot of like optimism about this decision. Now, I'm hoping that these men will look at the Constitution and not their own political bias that we all kind of know that they'll have. I'm looking at you, Clarence. But at the end of the day, we'll hope that the justice system prevails in some kind of way, and this man has to be made answer, or excuse me, I'm like got so tongue tied. Has to be like has to answer for his crimes against the state, because people died on that day, lost their lives, and these weren't people who decided to go down and protest. These are people who showed up to work that day, died because of the words you said, because of your actions. And if you are not held accountable, it's hard to tell people to believe in the system that you are telling them to believe in. Okay, let me move on, because that was a lot. Whenever I talk about Trump, I just get so like fired up. He makes me so angry, and I'm just like unapologetically about how much I hate that man and his little floof thing. And I can't even imagine doing 4 years with that. All right, so those were our 2 serious ones. We have so much going on. As I say every week, try to bring you some news on all levels of government so you can understand what is happening around us, what's going on, and we'll continue to do that. Let's close out with our one fun one that we're doing. And I don't even know this is fun. I don't even know if I count this fun, because I did not have fun while I was watching this. So we're going to do a fun movie review today. And the movie we watched was Mea Culpa. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mea Culpa is a movie that just came out from Tyler Perry. And I usually never feel any obligation to watch anything Tyler Perry after maybe the early 2000s. And I'm talking about 2004, right? Anything after that, didn't feel any obligation to. But I had to watch the Mea Culpa because one of Destiny's children was in it. I had to. And a fine-ass man named Trevante Rhodes. So I was like, okay. Now, I didn't watch Acrimony because I don't have that same connection to Taraji as I do as the Kelly Rowland, even though I thought about it because it is Taraji. But we are not doing, we could not do Acrimony. And I'm always happy I didn't, because I always hear the worst reviews about that movie. And I was really afraid the same thing was going to happen for Mea Culpa, but I did it anyway because, if you love Beyonce, you gotta love Kelly Rowland, and I've always been in Kelly's stand. So I'm not a movie reviewer, you know me. It's just me and my reactions. So we're just gonna go into some of the list of reactions that I wrote down while I was watching this movie, and I only could watch it once. And usually when I do reviews for things, I watch it at least like twice, at least, so that way I can be like, oh, I missed this little plot hole. You ain't missing no plot holes in no Tyler Perry movie. You're not. It is weird. It is confusing, and I never want to hate on anybody's art. I never do. But that man got a lot of money to hire a lot of good people around him to fix a lot of things that he know he did wrong to society, and he decides not to. So we're going to talk about Mea Culpa. Now, first of all, I Googled what a Mea Culpa was. Because, like, granted, Kelly Rowland's name in the show is Mia, but Mea Culpa is definitely like a thing, like a real thing. And it was something around like showing off wrongdoing, right? And I was like, I guess that kind of has something to do with the plot. So if you don't know, and you're probably not going to watch it, this isn't a spoiler alert, it's fine. The whole movie is about Kelly Rowland's character getting off Trevante Rhodes, which is our good brother who was also in Moonlight. Yes, that young man. So she's trying to get him off of a trial because apparently he murdered somebody. Now, the gist of the story is, and some of the and that's like, what you get from the trailer. Some of the parts you don't get from the trailer is that her husband's brother is actually the one that is on the prosecution side against Trevante. Trevante also ends up being a womanizer who's not really a womanizer, who ends up, we get that gist. So very like basic storyline. Somebody loves somebody they shouldn't be with. We gonna figure out what happens at the end. Kelly Rowland ends up leaving her husband because he ended up being crazy. Whatever. It was a mess. So, random points. There was a lot of weird whiteness in the movie. A lot of weird whiteness. They made Kelly Rowland's husband a half white, half black man, even though he looked Middle Eastern or Hispanic. Whatever. His mom was a very aggressive white woman who I just did not understand that. I feel like the movie could have been what it was if his mom was black. I just thought it was really weird. I was like, okay, I guess we just had to make her a white lady just to kind of add more like just evilness to it, right? Because it was just like she had a lot of lines in there which is like, ooh, like that was like aggressively spicy, and it would have been regular spicy had she just been a black lady. What else? There was no subcontext. You know how movies like they're like we're making assumptions. We're going to allow you to make assumptions about things. No. Tyler is coming and saying, we're angry because you cheated on so-and-so's husband and now we're here. And you're just like, okay, I guess I couldn't figure it out for myself. You just spoon-fed me all the conflict in the beginning. And I guess that's fine. That's a very Tyler Perry formula. Here's why we all hate everybody in the beginning. The middle part is some foolishness that we don't understand, and then some crazy ass twist in the end that don't make no sense. And that was exactly what happened with Mia Culpa. Everybody was beautiful. Everybody in that movie was beautiful. And that's one thing that I love about Tyler Perry. He just knows how to make black people look so beautiful. I never forget what fucking movie with Jill Scott. Oh, Why Did I Get Married? Even though like that movie was all over the place and he made that woman drive up the mountain, everybody in that movie was golden. Like all the black people, even the dark-skinned black people were golden. I don't even understand that. They just were all so beautiful. And Miss Kelly bought all her own wigs, so she was looking good the whole entire time. I think that just became my favorite part about the movie, which is seeing what outfits Kelly was going to come into each scene with, because I didn't really care what she was going to say. Of course, there had to be a crackhead. There's always a crackhead in Tyler Perry's movie, so the husband was a crackhead somehow. Don't understand that. The movie was also aggressively sexy. It was like, and maybe not aggressively sexy, it was aggressively sex. Like, they literally went to a sex club one time in the movie, and I did not even understand what it had to do with anything else. I was like, oh, we're just in a sex club? Oh, God. And then somebody literally came up to her and was like, wanna F? I was like, what? This is so... Wanna F? I have X. That was literally the line. Oh my God. Yo, I watched that. I just felt so creepy watching that. It's like when I watch Partition, I'm like, Destiny's Children do not do these sexy things. Where is Mama Tina? Because I felt so uncomfortable. But yes, they had it was very like aggressively sexy. And it was just like, we're not just going to be sexy. We're going to be sexy. So it was just like, we're not just going to have sex. We're going to put paint all over our bodies. And then we're going to have like these scenes where you just know that we're sexy. So it was just really like weird. Okay, it was really weird. The sex was weird. What else? The kiss right after. Oh my goodness, yo. Some things just don't make sense. And of course there's like this big like plot or whatever where, we finally get to the point where the main characters are like in love with each other. So that part comes because right before he's having sex with another woman. And I just didn't understand it. And it happened to be a white lady. So Kelly Rowland literally walks in on him having sex with a white lady. They stop. The white lady leaves, doesn't say anything, and then they start doing it. And I'm just like, what? How? I'm so confused. And then how she killed him yes. And then after a point, I just kind of like gave up with the note taking because it just got like real haywire. The mom cancer ended up being fake. They had this really big, weird fight scene where, of course, some woman had to get slapped in the face by a man. Of course, somebody had to die at the end. And then the movie was over. So, yeah, Mia Culpa. Do I recommend you watch it? I say watch it because we want to support one of Destiny's Children. Will you enjoy it? Maybe not. But do we want to support Beyonce's best friend? 100%. So that's when let's get into it for this week. I'm so excited for the next leg of our Honor Bridge journey. We have a super, super awesome guest, and we'll get right into it after this quick break. Are you looking for cool, unique pieces to add to your wardrobe? Are you looking to support Black businesses? Or are you just looking for cool ways to represent your culture and your history? Then visit Kingston Couture for all your custom apparel and accessory needs. You can visit Kingston Couture on Instagram at KINGSTONKOUTOURE. Now let's get back to Unabridged. Unabridged. All right. And welcome to the next episode, the next leg of the Unabridged journey. I am and I say this every single episode, I am so excited about this next guest. So before I do my full introduction, I actually tried to write something out because I was like, let me not just spitball this because this lady is too important to me. So in 20-something teen, I don't even know the number at this point now, I was introduced to this woman who changed my life and definitely changed the lives of so many other women across the state. She is a fundraising guru who has probably supported every lady that's on my shirt in some capacity, as well as somehow kicking behind in the private sector, leading one of the most major impactful redevelopments the city of Philadelphia has seen in over a decade. I am so honored and so privileged to have on the show today Miss Jasmine Sessoms.
Hi, Dom.
Hi. See, it's gonna be a lot today because my show is about giving flowers.
Okay.
So just be prepared to be blushing.
But you know I don't like that.
The whole time. When I wrote this intro, I was like, Jasmine's gonna hate this.
I'm going to hate this. But for you, I will sit and listen.
So Jasmine is not only a mother, a wife, an entrepreneur, an amazing businesswoman, but Jasmine is also my mentor. And this whole leg from March and Unabridged, I want to focus on ladies in my life who have been so impactful, not just, again, to me, but to the whole entire city of Philadelphia, again, by being their true unabridged selves. So welcome to the show, Jasmine.
I'm so excited. When you asked me, I was like, oh, sure, I'll come. But this is real. Let me, sit up a little straighter.
It's like a real show. So tell people about yourself. You didn't like how I said it. So you tell the girls about yourself. Who is Jasmine Sessoms?
I will tell the girls about myself. So honestly, I am unapologetically Black. I am an unapologetic Black woman, and I just love all things Black. Let's see, founder of She Can Win so long ago, now Center 1968 at Community College of Philadelphia. I did used to fundraise. Wow, that was a time.
But you still do, girl. You still fundraise
But
money.
you were right there with me when I was fundraising. Mm-hmm. I would not be where I am. I know that you say the same, but I wouldn't be where I am without you. You kept the company really going. Just two Black girls trying to fundraise and figure it out. And to your point, the most important job, though, really is being a mom and a wife to Jay and Jace and Jamar. That's my favorite thing to do.
I love it. So I feel like you probably do a lot of interviews all the time and talk to girls about why Black women should run for office. But this interview is really just about you, right? So I never really knew your journey. So tell us. So we don't got to go back all the way to high school. Oh, this is a lot. But young Jasmine goes to college. She goes to grad school. And then what happens? What is the journey?
I don't know. To be honest, when people be like, how did you get where you are? It is so windy that I don't know. So I went to Morgan State University. I was a hospitality management major. I just knew I was going to work in hotels for the rest of my life. When I graduated, I was a wedding planner. And I worked for the Philadelphia Marriott downtown. It looks a lot nicer now than what it did when I worked there. But I've done over 11,000 weddings. I did not plan my own wedding because I was traumatized. And I used to work 16 days on, and I used to have 2 days off. And finally, I was just like, I don't want this life. You're in your 20s. You want to go out with your friends. You don't want to deal with, brides. So I remember calling up Stacey Holland, who was my mentor, and at that point, she was the president of PYN. And Philadelphia Youth Network is our workforce system here in Philly, for those that don't know. And she was like, I guess you can come over here. I don't really got nothing, but, you could be the event planner. I was like, oh, man, that again? Great. But I worked there for years, and believe it or not, Stacey sent me to a meeting a jobs meeting, and I met this woman. Her name was Eden Kratchman, and they were talking. She was a white woman, and they were talking about like black kids in jobs. But all the things they were saying sounded so stupid. I was like, this is dumb. So I just kept raising my hand, and then she walks over to me to the meeting. She's like, tell me your name. And at that point, I was Jasmine Jones, and she was like, I think I have a job for you. And I was kind of like, well, I have a job. I'm good. You know, at that point, white ladies. I was like, I'll have a job. She was like, I want you to come see me. So I remember going back and talking to Stacey about it. Stacey was like, oh, no, you want to go see her. Long story short, she ran a corporate foundation. It was called Ace Insurance. I think it's called Chubb now. And she created a job for me just from literally hearing me in this meeting. So I worked there forever, but it was a lot of travel. And somewhere in between, I met Jamar. I might have known him before that. But long story short, and then like Jordan was running for, Rep Harris was running for office. So like there were a lot of things going on at that point, and I wanted to get married, and there was a lot of travel. I think I used to be going like 2 weeks because we served 32 cities. And I just knew that like I needed something different. So I could have went with Jordan, but I still didn't all the way like politics. You know, we were successful, but I was kind of like, this is weird and I don't want to do this. So from there, I met Mayor Nutter. It was at the same jobs meeting that Stacey sent me to, Eden sent me to, because she was going to Italy with her daughter or something. I met Mayor Nutter, and I was kind of just like talking from a foundational perspective, but also from a black child perspective. And he was like, have you ever considered city government? And I remember being like, no, God, no. I have an office. Like at 26, I'm living. And I'll never forget, he was like, come see me in 2 weeks. And so I came to see him, and he walked me upstairs, and he was like, look, we have a fund here. Nobody's running it right now. I think you would be great. And I was kind of like, what is a fund? Like, what does that mean? And it was the city's foundation. And he asked me to spend like 2 days there, and I did, and I fell in love. And from there, you know, philanthropy and politics and government, it all goes hand in hand. So, you know, Jordan wanted to move up, and I was his fundraiser, because at that point I didn't even know I was fundraising. But then more people started coming, and to the point where it got unmanageable to have a regular job and to fundraise, because back then, like you know, of all people, Dom, they didn't have black fundraisers. And, you know, I was out there, Jordan, look, he's our appropriation chair now, but back in the day, it was a struggle. It was me and him in like a car. Fundraising. So like people saw and they liked what I did, and they would just come, and I will always just be myself. And somewhere along the lines, I started She Can Win in 2014 because it was like only Blondell and Sherelle. And Sherelle was still in the State House at that point, and Blondell was in City Council. And I was kind of like, where are the black ladies? Like, I don't want to fundraise for black men anymore. Like, y'all are real abusive. And y'all don't understand work-life balance. I had just gotten married. And I remember being like, well, why don't nobody run? I remember talking to Sherelle. I remember talking to Maria. Maria Kiona Sanchez. And she was like, girl, nobody wants to do this. Not if you like a woman, especially not a woman of color. And I was like, well, I wonder if I could train people to run. Like, I know enough smart people. And from there, again, I'll never forget, Kathy Gilmore Richardson, Tiff White, that's in Kenyatta office, Tiff Wilson, that was in Senator Hughes' office, and I'm missing somebody, Morgan. We was all just like hunkered down in this random training. I was training people, and I didn't know that I was training them. I was just like, y'all getting ready to run, what y'all need to know. And that's how it all really started. And then whoever ran. Kathy, I don't think ran at that time, but she was like gonna run. Tiff never really ran. Neither Tiffs ran. But Morgan ran, and then she won. And then the next thing you know, she's like talking about She Can Win. And I was kind of like, oh, sis, I was joking about that name. Like, it's not actually a name. But then more people was like, when's the next training class? I was like, oh, it's not a class. And I remember Mayor Street was like, we're doing this. And he gave me money to start She Can Win. And then that became a thing. And then let me say, from there, I ran a business, and then you were my right-hand man. We fundraised, and we killed it. I mean, we just really killed it. You went with Isaiah, and I'm going to be honest, like, without you, it was no more fun. It just wasn't fun without you anymore. I didn't want to deal with the girls. I was done.
So for those who don't know, so if you ever peruse on my LinkedIn, the only job I've had longer than working in city council right now is being, I was like VP of something.
You were VP of something.
For JNS Strategies. And we were the only Black women fundraising firm in Pennsylvania. And whenever people ask me about JNS, I'm like, if you name a Black state rep, we raise money for them.
That's it.
Like, insert Black state rep here, insert Black senator here, and a couple random white men for some reason.
Couple randoms.
Shout out to Mike Stack.
Shout out to Mike Stack. Shout out to Alan Buckovic.
Yo, Bucko. Yo, but we raised white men some money, though.
We did. We were in the mix. We were in the mix.
But yeah, no. So before council, that was literally my last job before I joined council, was raising money with Jasmine. And it was like us in like random co-working spaces, like us at random offices around the city, trying to find other Black girls to like really get into it. Oh my goodness, I actually saw Chelsea the other day.
No.
Yes.
Girl, what's
yes.
she doing?
Who knows?
Okay,
I saw Chelsea the other day, but somebody we used to work with. But that's besides the point. Like that was definitely like our hustle for a little while. And it was
made money a little bit.
Yes, like actually. And like people were like, well, why did you guys ever stop doing it? Why did you guys ever stop doing it?
Because it was a grind,
It was.
and because we were Black women fundraisers, we did not get paid like our white counterparts.
Hell to the
So
no.
for like, they would take 2 clients, we would have to take 5 to make the same amount of money.
Yep.
And that became a burnout. So when you said that you were going with Isaiah, which I completely supported and kind of knew it was going to happen, I tried to, but it just wasn't fun anymore. There was like nobody to kind of like commiserate with. None of my friends really understood what it was to run like a fundraising business and really be like top-notch fundraisers. So I got a job. I think I went to community college for a little while.
Yep.
And I would never forget the pandemic hit, and I was laying in the bed, and I got this random call from this man named Roberto Perez, and he was the CEO of Hilco Redevelopment Partners. And I remember he was like, "Come meet me. Everyone I've asked, I'm trying to fill this position for senior vice president, but I've heard your name multiple times. Come meet me." I was like, "It's a pandemic, boss. I'm not meeting you, you random man." At that point, I thought he was white, but he wasn't. He was Hispanic. And I never forget, he flew from Chicago and stood outside my door and talked to me through my door. And I was kind of like, oh, I grew up in South Philly. That refinery, that's what y'all want to do? No, thank you. I think it might have took him like 3 or 4 times to convince me to come. I remember watching a council session. You were probably in that council session where they passed for them to be entitled. And I remember being like, oh, this is a thing. All right, let me call him back. So I stayed there for 3.5 years. It is really hard working with all white people and being the only Black person. And I'm going to leave that there. That's an interesting place, child. And, you know, I left. I quit. And it was like, dang, what am I going to do now? But I didn't, to what we were talking about earlier, I didn't really have to think of anything. Right. I didn't have to work because they gave me a very large severance package. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And when I thought about when I was happiest working with you guys and doing She Can Win. So I kind of called up Dr. Generals, the president of Community College of Philadelphia, and was like, I want to open a Black Women's Center at CCP. And that's really all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. He was like, yeah, so I'm going to need you to come back and work as the chief engagement officer. Like, you're not just opening up a center. I'll let you do that, but, like, you got to do more. And it's been fine. Like, education is so important. And, see, you know, the City's College is one of my favorite places. It provides such an opportunity for people that would not have opportunities. And having a boss like Dr. Generals it is so hard to describe. I think of things at night. I send him a text message, and literally he'll be like, all right, let's see if this will work. So, you know, since I've been there, I've only been back 5 months. We've started a corporate volunteer council where corporations come in and they'll volunteer with our students. That's really fun. We just on Thursday opened up Center 1968. Let's see, what else did he let me do? Student Chamber of Commerce is coming. He lets me do my wildest dreams. So right now, and I get to pick my kids up from school. I get to drop them off. I miss so much of their life working at Hilco Redevelopment Partners that I'm just like getting back time with my 9 and my 7-year-old. And my husband, you know, he saw me like 11 days out of a month. But that's my bestie. So like I go everywhere with him. It's a wonder he's not here with me now. So like I'm just I'm reintegrating myself with my friends, my husband, my kids, my family, and just really finding myself again. So I guess that's a very windy path and an extremely long answer.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. See, no, like these stories are my favorite, especially ladies who work in politics like that, because Like people, the story is never linear. It's never just like I went to
Never.
school for this and now I got this
I
and now
know.
I got this. It's like no, it's just like I was around being myself and people were like, "Hey, you come here," and I feel like that happens with like even when I talk to Daesh about that, like
Yeah.
her stories and my story similar, and I always just love that because people think that we're risk takers. And I'd be like, girl, no.
Girl, no.
I am not a risk taker. It's just that it's one of those right place at the right time.
Yes.
And also, you know, I'm not afraid or I wasn't afraid to be myself in those spaces. And people recognize that and they were like, oh, well, you be great here. Come over here. And I feel like that is your story as well. Because like when you show up to places, you're not just like, I'm going to come here and do my job. You're like, I'm going to come over here and reinvent this. I'm going to come here and recreate it. And I love that mission because it's just like, it took so many avenues and so many opportunities for you to get to that point, but you're here and now you're just like, what do I actually want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do I want to do? Like, and then having that freedom, especially as a Black woman, is so important because I feel like so many people don't feel like we should have that type of freedom.
That's right.
It's like, oh, well, like you're not working, you're not struggling, you're not. It's like that is so much a part of our narrative that I always love when I look at your story because it's like you went back to CCP because you wanted to,
That's it.
not because you had to.
I know. Even though people would be like, oh my God, you couldn't find another job. And I just let the narrative go like, no, I guess I couldn't. But, you know, if you know me, and this isn't like braggadocious, it's like there's always going to be a job for people like me, people like you, people like Deesh, people like even Dawn, who you'll have a little bit late. There's always going to be places for us because, one, we put our head down. Two, people know our work is going to be stellar. So at this point, at 40, and you know, I turned 40 last year, I was kind of like, what do I want to do? I didn't want a lot of stress. I knew I did not want to work around all white people. I know how that sounds, but I'm serious.
No,
I
that's
needed
real.
a diverse
It's so real.
environment because I spent almost 4 years of my life teaching people about what it is to be a Black woman, whether they were receptive or not. And that is a level of trauma I just will never sign up for again. And so I knew CCP is really comfortable. And like I get to test ideas out every single day. That is where I am best. If you like let me do any level of idea, I will thrive and shine. If I got to stay within a box, it's never going to work for me. Nope.
So out of that long list of things, I mean, and you could even say maybe it hasn't happened yet. What are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I am most proud of, can I be honest? It's really not about like a job or anything though. I am most proud when I see like you and Deesh and Bree and all of the people like behind us. Like there's the 40-year-old crew and then there's those in front of us. I'm most proud when like you guys will show up to something that we have because that lets me know we've done our job of like including y'all and not shutting you guys out. If it always makes me proud when I see y'all on a list and knowing even if I had a little bit to do with it, not that y'all aren't dope on your own, but even just a little bit, that's what I'm most proud of for real, because like, here's the thing. I could work all day, I could have the most money, et cetera. But like, what does that really mean, right? If I ain't helping you or I'm not helping Deesh, because every single day, that means you guys are gonna help somebody. You know what I mean? And then maybe it won't be so lonely as a Black girl in politics or government and corporate America, right? Because when I see like y'all crew is a lot bigger than our crew. And I'm like, okay, now we got like 20 of them opposed to like 7 of them. And then y'all 20 is going to make 40. And then those 40 are going to make 60. So in 20, 30 years, it's not going to be a need for a Center 1968 or a She Can Win or Black women in politics because we will be there. And I love to know that I just played even the smallest part of it, right? So that's what I'm most proud of.
I mean, I think you play a big role in that because even though some of this stuff is very organic, I feel like you're the only women in politics, at least that I know, who are actively creating these spaces for Black girls who are like, hey, you're not alone out here, right? Like just down to some of the breakfasts that we've had, some of the happy hours. Like those are spaces where it's just like, we're not going to just like say that we're Black women in a place. Like, we're gonna actively welcome you into this space. And I always, I think that like I came in right at the right time because a lot of the girls, like you guys always say, how much it was like, having to find your own way. But I'm just like, me and Dave talk all the time that we have like, our Lees of the world, you and Nadia and Jalila and Dom Johnson. Like, we just have so many people that we can kind of just look to naturally already. Or even like, you don't even got any Black ladies. People ask me sometimes, they're like, what do you want to be? I'm like, I want to be Melissa Heller.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I want to be Melissa Heller.
That is a rich white woman.
Like, if there's somebody, you know what I mean? And like,
That's right.
and those women, everybody that I named have actively played a role in like my life and the life of so many other people around me as they matriculate. And I love that is the climate now, and not as just like, oh, you got to watch out for those ladies because they're going to swat you down.
That is so true, Dom. Like, see, when we were coming, a lot of us, and I hate to even say this, a lot of us have to attribute our success to men. Mm-hmm. It really was men opening the door for me. Like, I would not be where I am without Jordan, and I know that, right? I would not be where I am without Mare Street or Mare Nutter. But then I also have Maria. Mm-hmm. I have a Sherelle that saw something in me and was like, we'll see. But they always watched me, and as I grew, then they came and got me. You know what I mean? But like for you guys, it's just really inspiring, and that's something that I know everybody that you just named, that's always been our thing. Like, Doug, we had a tough way because like the older ladies ain't really deal with us because they were focused on, I got to keep my spot, right? Because back then, they're even rarer than what we were.
Right.
So yeah, they probably wanted to help us, but they needed to concentrate on keeping their spot and solidifying theirs. And then we kind of got there and we were bumbling and fumbling our way. But I do know, like, for us, we were like, we can't let them fumble and bumble their way. I like to say we made hiring Black girls cute and hot and sassy. You guys are making it the norm, though. I mean, look at city council right now. I can't believe that you told me that stat. How many Black
There's 4 of us. It's 4 of us in there now. I love my Black Lady Chief Chat. Like, that's my little group right there.
See, I love that.
And it's just literally be like, I'm not crazy, right? Oh, okay. And then we just go about our day. And that's literally what that check-in is. And like, it's so weird to me that I'm one of like the OGs in that space now because it's like it wasn't that many of us. So now like having them to bounce and soundboard off of, or even just to tell them, I'm like, you're not crazy.
Right.
They're doing this to you, and it is okay. Like, you will survive, but like, you're not going crazy. You're not losing your mind. And that has been such the best part for me. Now, sometimes I gotta be like, it's kind of hard to usher the girls back into politics because I'm like, no, I promise it gets better. But no, I think like having that little core group of ladies now has made it definitely a lot different.
And see, that makes me so excited. So like you say, I always bring Black ladies around. I gotta be honest, I just like being with y'all. Like, it is so affirming because you do, to your point, you sit by yourself sometimes, you're like, are these people gaslighting me? Am I crazy? I might be crazy. But being surrounded by other Black women that are going through the same things, it does reaffirm and it makes you feel more confident when you go in there because I know at any given moment I can shoot an SOS text, like, what do they call that brawl in Montgomery? He threw up his hat.
Oh, yes.
I know all I really have to do is send a SOS text to like 3 different group chats, and I'm covered. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I want to spend my energy creating more spaces for us because now we got 4 Black chiefs in council, Black women chiefs in council. Like, that's amazing. And I love that for y'all. And if, to your point, if I've played any role, then my job is done. And honestly, I can get on the yacht and go.
See, my next question, you kind of already answered a little bit, but I was going to ask you, like, why, like, what does mentorship actually mean to you?
I have no clue what mentorship means. Like, when you and Deej be like, you're my mentor, I be like, how? Why? Y'all don't want to pick nobody better. But I guess it just means, look, if I'm on, y'all on. If I'm in the room, you're in the room. Dom, I got to tell you, man, I just love you. It ain't too many people that's going to get me out on a Sunday. Sundays for my babies. But, like, even Jamar was like, where are you going? I was like, Dom's doing, he was like, go ahead. Because I love you, and I love LaDacia. And I'm sure there's other people that call me a mentor, but, I claim you too.
Right.
Because
she was like, I don't got no room for nobody else. I was like, nope, me and Daisha always say we made the cut. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. It's okay.
I don't got no room. But just even if y'all bounce things off of me and I give you my honest opinion, or if I see an opportunity, or I'll be like, yo, come here with me. I feel like this is a good room. I don't know what like good mentorship means. I don't even know if I am a good mentor. But even just the little like gram things. Oh, Deesh got the cover, Dom got the cover, Mama got the cover. These are my babies. I just want everybody to know how special the two of you are and what I see in you. You know, I know season 1 Dom and Deesh. They don't know season 1 Dom and Deesh.
Right.
And so for me, as a mentor, and I'm using it in quotes because I really just feel like y'all are my family. And y'all have accomplished so much. What are you, 31?
I'll be 31 this year.
You will be 31 this year. Is Deesh 30? She just turned 30.
Daisha will be, she's a year older than me, so she's going to be 31 this year.
So she'll be 31 this year. The level of just accomplishments that you guys have at this age, who's messing with y'all? Okay, y'all might say I might be the queen of black girls, but who is messing with you? 31, that's not what I was doing. You want to know what I was doing at 31? Having a baby, okay? Still trying to figure it out. Having a whole baby. Whereas you guys are blazing trails. You're in council, but you ain't, you know, you're a staffer, but you're the top staffer. And I just love it for you. So again, if I have played any level of a part in it, that's good enough for me. And I know, because Daesh says this to me, and sometimes you do too, that you can call me for anything and everything, and you know I'll never say no. I guess that's being a good mentor. I don't know, but it's really just because I love you.
So no, mentorship, first of all, like you're a great mentor.
Okay, that makes me feel good.
Because like I feel like it was I wanted to ask this question too, because like I feel like when I was definitely coming up in the space of politics, people were like throwing that mentor word around a lot, and I would just be like, you don't know what the level of what it actually means to be somebody's mentor, and how like the level of commitment and dedication you have to somebody else. And then when people ask me, I only say I have two mentors in my life, and that's you and Isaiah, right? And I put that precursor because I've called you crying and I've called him crying. And you both have been there and talked me down. I run all my crazy ideas, my random opportunities. I run that by you. And then if you guys actually feel some type of way about it, like that takes a lot of like weight to me, right? Because I trust you. I know you have my best interest at heart, and I know you would never steer me wrong. Like, and that is what mentorship is. And I feel like, you know, a lot of young people don't have that, or they don't necessarily like go out and search for that. And a part of me, like I'm, you know, saying people don't search for that. I didn't search for it either. I feel like we just kind of found each other. Actually, Isaiah introduced us.
He did. I was going to say, Isaiah introduced us.
So, like, that's why I appreciate the very intentional aspects of the mentorship programs and, you know, things you've done with She Can Win, because even if it wasn't like, okay, this person is your mentor, like, I know the amount of connections that happened in those spaces because you were creating those spaces for us to just be ourselves, right? And then just to have a place where we can go and learn. Because I know that, like, when we used to training is used to be my favorite because it was just like, it was so fun. It was very informational, but it was just so real. Like, it was so real. The black girls come in there and ask questions. Black girls show up to mentorship. They come to training and they ask the questions. Okay, but how am I supposed to be able to do this and do that and keep this going? And that's why I used to love that, because that was a space of real dialogue for people who wanted to change the world.
It really was. I mean, man, can I tell you how? So Nadia's away in Paris, but I'm going to tell the story anyway. Last week, me and Nadia, I don't even know where we was. Nadia is my best friend. Child, that was a time. She Can Win was a time. I can't believe they let us do that.
I know.
Can you believe they let us do that?
We just have little groups of ladies around the city in random places.
Child, that was a time. And we was training them ladies. And they was running for office. I can't believe they let us do that. But we did it. And Dom, you played such an integral part. I mean, you were right there in the trainings. You were in the trenches.
I know.
Creating slideshows up there with me. We never really practiced.
We never practiced our training.
Weird.
We would just be ping-ponging it, and it just worked out.
It just worked. And to see the level of impact that's had, man, I could die happy for real.
For real. And I hope, like, the audience really, like, truly hears, like, not like the lackadaisical, but just like the organic nature of a lot of the stuff that was happening at that time, to like really not have to put that pressure on yourself to make the change you want to see in the world. Like, you can make that change for with that you want to see with just the people around you. Like Jasmine, we talked about the beginning of She Can Win a little bit, but Jasmine started She Can Win with just like her girlfriends.
That's it.
The girlfriends around her.
It was 10 of Jesus. So I started it by myself in the basement, but it wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I thought it could be a thing, you were there.
Mm-hmm.
And we used a random co-working
Yep.
space.
You was like, what if we made this into a pack?
What if we made it into a pack and we
Yeah.
actually invested in the ladies that we did? And it was like, it was truly all of our friends. I think you added some people to the list. I added some people to the list. And it was 11 ladies. And we had dinner together and was like, how y'all want to do this?
Right.
Well, this is what I think. This is what Dom think. Okay, we going to move it like this. And from that dinner, it was like a whole movement. All the girlies wanted to be down. They wanted a T-shirt. They wanted to be in the videos. They wanted to come to the PA Society event. And it just grew. And man, to Nadia's point, she was like, girl, that was a time. It was such a fun time to be a Black girl in politics. And so many people felt seen at that point. And they felt like they had a place that they could go to, whether they were connected, not connected. They just wanted to be a part of something. I mean, the other day I looked through an Act Blue. We had 450 unique donors for one event. I mean, it was just a time where Black girls could be seen. It was a time.
And that's why I'm happy for moments like this, because we can actually reflect on those times, right? 'Cause when you're in it, you're just like, we were running around crazy. You're just like doing the most. But then like now it's just like, that was actually a time. We actually did so many amazing things. And I'm just so proud of how far we've come.
We have come so far. I mean, literally, we used to be, remember when we had to go to New York for that one event? It was like that ACOM
Oh, no, it was for was it the Black Economic Plaque?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, the Black Economic, and we had thought that we had arrived.
Because it was Mala's sister in there. That's why. It was
was.
Kamala Harris' sister and and those Obama people.
Yes, and I mean, just two Black girls from Philly that built this company, and these like very important DC people were like, oh, we think you guys are good enough to come and fundraise for this very influential Black PAC. And we did so well.
I know.
It was just truly a great time. Some days I miss it. I mean, I'm a little done with politics and fundraising, but like when I think back, it is something historical that we did. We made history, and I would like to think that maybe She Can Win helped four lady chiefs get into council.
I think it did. I definitely think it did, for sure. So I feel like my interviews always go by so fast, and I hate it. So I have to ask you the resounding question. I actually had two questions for you. So but I want to ask them at the same time.
Okay.
So, oh no. Okay, she's fine. So what would you say to a young Black girl beginning her career right now?
Ooh.
Like, I'm like about to get my diploma. I'm about to walk out into this world. Like, what would you say to her?
Try everything. I feel like when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to try everything. I would tell her, your degree is in what it's in. My degree is in hospitality management. Right, I'd like them to do that. But I would tell her, try everything. When those opportunities come to you, take them. Don't be afraid to take them. I remember I got an opportunity to move to Houston to go and work for a mayor way back when. And I was so afraid to move from Philadelphia. I didn't know anybody, but I just always think sometimes, like, where would I be now, right? So I would tell her, try everything, and it is okay to fail. I do feel like Black women are never allowed to fail because we don't have that safety net. But here's the thing. Black ladies, we are resilient. So even if you fail and you don't have that safety net, you won't be okay. Because you a Black lady and you're going to have to be. Try everything, and every opportunity that comes your way that is safe and has a path, do it. Do not be afraid if you don't know.
I love that. I wish somebody would have told me that when I first graduated from college, because I was just like, no, I'm going to be a lawyer. I have my set path. I'm doing this. I don't care what anybody else says. So no, I love that. And then my last question is the resounding question I ask everybody.
Okay.
So the name of the show is called Unabridged, which means to be your whole unedited self. So what does it mean for you to be completely unabridged?
Sis, this is me. Every day, all day. It's, it means unabridged equals freedom to me. I do feel like I will be able to be my full, authentic, unedited self when I obtain freedom. The other day, I think I told this story a long time ago, but it doesn't matter. I used to work at Hilco Redevelopment Partners. I was surrounded by white people. So I bought a bunch of kids from Roxborough, and they were in a real estate program. And this one boy, I'm on a panel with all white people. He raised his hand, little Black boy, he has dreads. He was like, excuse me, miss, you want to be free? And, white people looking at me, and they like, what does that mean? And I was like, I absolutely want to be free. I am doing this so that I can get free. And I'm also doing this so that you won't have to do it and you can start off free. And he understood what I was saying. All the little black kids knew what I was saying. Now, granted, my coworkers were kind of like, what did that answer mean? So I am doing this to be free, AKA unabridged. And there will be a time where I can show up. I try to show up authentically every day, but there are times where I have to edit myself. But one of these days, my work will make it so every black girl will be unedited, will be accepted. You will wear your natural hair and won't nobody say, oh, you changed your hair today. That is what unabridged means to me. And until we get to there, I'll just keep working at it.
That is a good way to end the episode right there. I love that. And I love you.
I do love you. I do love you.
Thank you, Jasmine, so much for coming on the show today.
I am just so honored to be here. It's like a whole studio.
Listen, that's everybody's surprised. They're like, oh, Dom is a real thing. I'm like, yes, y'all. We are not in my little office at home.
We are not in the office at home, but I want to leave you with, Dom, if this is what you are passionate about, one, you know I'm going to support you in all that you do. So I saw you have how many downloads?
I have 100 right now, over 100 downloads.
So now the next goal, we're going to get to 150. You know I'll support you in anything and everything, but if this is your passion, which I have not seen you smile this much in a long time, try everything,
I love
Dominique.
It. I will.
Try everything. Okay.
I will. Well, thank you all so much for joining this, the leg of the Unabridged journey. Thank you so much. And that has been Unabridged. Thank you so much for joining the journey. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch the show. Also, check out our website. That's unabrdgpodcast.com. We'll see you in 2 weeks.